Hello there, Raki here. And since many people has asked me to make a Guardian guide, I'm gonna make one right now. So, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to look over all the skills that Guardian has in Main and Awakening. I'm going to talk about how you can use them, in which situation probably, and maybe some combo potential in 1v1s. But as a disclaimer, firsthand, I wanna say that Guardian is very much not a 1v1 class. It's good against everything that has no grab, because you can literally block every attack with your shield. It's probably 10 times stronger than your normal frontal guard that you have on Dragon's Moth or something like that. You can tank insane amount of damage, but anything that has grab is very much a deadly thing against you. And I'm going to talk about what to do about those things, and that's going to be probably like running away. No, anyway, back to the skills. So, now I'm going to go over the Awakening skills. So, starting from the top, we have Fierce Disdain. Fierce Disdain is the only pre-awakening high frame, but it's into super armor. So, it's a very useful skill. You would use it a lot of times to go from awakening to pre-awakening, and it's also a safe way to buff yourself for attack speed of 10%. It also has a stiffness of CC, so you could technically use it against some greedy players that have no grab and try to go for unprotected skills against you. But the problem is, it's a quick iframe and a slow animation of super armor. So you wanna get out of that as quickly as possible. So from that we are going to go to Extro and Foretold Encounter. Extro is very dangerous skill to use because it's very unprotected. Well, completely unprotected, I would say. It slows the target by 50%, but it's only half the time compared to your other skills, which slow you by 10 seconds. For 10 seconds by 20%. But that's literally on every other skill that you have in your arsenal. And Portal Encounter, since in last patch Cleansing Flame has been nerfed from 18% to 9% accuracy bonus, it's now become much of a useful skill to use, even though it's like hard to perform. So the best way to perform Foretold Encounter from Pre-Awakening is this: you go to your block, you go into speed, and you space jump R&B. So for a short time you're unprotected while you're jumping, but you can quickly... oh, that was a mess. You can quickly go into Foretold Encounter. In the last patch also has been changed that you can jump from Awakening to Foretold Encounter, so that's another useful swap. The only way you have to perform this is by jumping. Be aware, there are sometimes problems when you're sprinting. If you sprint, you cannot do Foretold Encounter, only when you walk in this normal speed. Okay, going on the next skill. There are some other skills that are super armors that might be useful, not for me because they don't really do damage. And if you look at the tooltip, they have CC on last hit, which is very, very not useful. Now going to Absolute Crow Reveal. This is an ultimate. You could use it for bombing, technically, if you try hard enough. I haven't been so lucky, so I really much don't recommend using it. What it's good for though is it's a frontal guard, so you shouldn't be really using these frontal guards, because if you stay in your block you can tank way more and your frontal guard won't go down as fast. So it's a good way to buff yourself for 5% crit damage. And I think that's about it. I don't really have another use for it. You can bomb if you're not in a big fight. You can bomb with that. It does some nice damage if you hit it. though it has some problems if you hit the ultimate behind the target. Let's see. Sometimes doesn't hit. I think that was maybe only the case in Succession. I don't know if it's been pre-awakening, but sometimes I had a problem if I was really up to the target. It didn't really hit at all. Okay, going next. We have Absolute Avalanche Strike. Now, Avalanche Strike is one of the more useful skills. It's literally the best knockdown that we have in pre-awakening. It's fast, and, but it's unprotected, so you really have to be careful not to stay in the animation too long. If you stay still, you can hold front guard and give yourself a buff. So now I'm holding front guard. When I release it, it's off. And you get buff of 20 AP. But the only way to perform this, you have to stay still and then hold it. So it's kind of a little bit dangerous. If you do it from your block, it will go straight into the fast animation. Okay, going next, some mobility skills. There's a Juggernaut. I have the Awakening version of this. Now there's one thing about the Juggernaut. I think the pre-awakening version is really good. It's way faster. You can use it in Awakening to go into pre-awakening. But my issue is after the Juggernaut, I want to be able to use Frigid Wind as a slide if I want to. I don't use Oma's Objugation. Many people use that. I don't think it's really good. I rather use Frigid Wind. It's a slide super armor, and if you want, you can attack. But it's a dangerous attack. But I'm going to go over that later. The only downside of the Juggernaut in pre-awakening and why I don't use it is that the cooldown is 12 seconds compared to the awakening one, which is only 7 seconds, which is a huge difference for your movement, because disengaging as Guardian is really hard. Okay, next skill, Absolute Mountain Slam. Now, I don't use these skills very often, but I found out that during a group fight I really struggle to have anything up because I cycle through my protected skills very fast. So this is another useful skill that you can use if you have everything else on cooldown. It's also a nice way to debuff people from range. As you can see, it's minus 20 DP. So if you were in a group fight, I would consider using this at the start while everybody has PAs. Another skill I would consider use is Cleansing Flame to give them AP debuff. Or maybe Gaunt Incinerator for another 20 DP. If that previous one runs out, but it's you know, much up close. But I'm going to go over the skills later as well. Now the last two skills I want to talk about from the pre-awakening is Blood Circle. This skill is literally only to heal yourself 200 HP per tick. Use this outside of combat. You won't be able to out heal anything else. So very much use it only and only if you're not getting attacked. And the last skill, Blood Descent, is one of the more useful skills. It gives you movement speed and DP. It's the only skill that really gives DP, I think. I should be right. So you should use this all the time. The only problem is at the end of the super armor there is a slide window where the super armor doesn't really work. So what you should do, go instantly into your Q block or use the Sturdy Step. I also forgot about this skill. This is one of the more useful skills. I'm gonna combine this information with Fortune Encounter. Every time you use Fortune Encounter, press S. Go 100% into your Q block. If you don't, this can happen. If you press forward, you start running normally and you're not protected at all. Same with Sturdy Step. Go into S and then you can start running. Jump. But every time it's good to have it as a muscle memory. Every time you do Fortune Encounter, press S. Or when you do Sturdy Step, press S to go into your protected block that is very much a super armor. Okay, now going over the awakening skills. I left out the grab in awakening because I think it's not really that good. It has less accuracy, it's slower animation, and it has a problem when it desyncs a lot because you're moving the target behind you from here to here. And you're also exposing your back. If you're grabbing somebody in the main raid, you're turning around and you're gonna get back attack damage. So the reason I'm using pre-awakening grab is because it's faster, it has more accuracy, and it has more utility. The only downside is you cannot use it even with hotbar from awakening. So you have to go into pre-awakening, then use it. Oh, avoid mode. Another nice thing that you can do if you really slow down and you know you wanna get out of your grab, you can press RMB to a headbutt, and it's going from knockdown to bound. It's way faster animation compared to normal one. Okay, now awakening. You have the classic E buff. So in a group fight, when you should use the E buff is when you go in with the PAs. You shouldn't use it at the start, in my opinion. That's what I found out, because everybody is using their PAs and it's not going to give you any advantage. So I think at the start of the fight you should cycle your debuffs, your long range skills, to give everybody else a slow AP debuff, PP debuff, or just stay protected in block. If you don't have a PA, just stay protected or go into the back. You should probably stay inside the main block. You might not go forward, because I found out if I go forward too much, I'm not getting any PAs and I'm really dying fast. So in the middle of the cycle or at the end of both teams' PAs running out, you should pop your absorb, you should pop your E-buff, and you should go in starting with Dragon's Maw because it's insta-cast. Then going with Searing Fang into Shift Q for master damage. And before maybe popping, the other thing you could probably do was like the best combo straight after popping the E-buff, going for Thought Encounter for accuracy. Let's see, like the full combo that would be probably best for the E-buff engage in a big fight. You pop E-buff, Photo Encounter, Cleansing Flame from Hotbar, Dragon's Maw with Flow, Searing Fang into God Incinerator. And if you want, you can even fit, instead of Cleansing Flame, if you're not too far, if you're too far to not hit it, you could do Fireborn to get yourself another 20 AP. Okay, so the other skills that we have in Awakening is Glorious Advance. You can use this. I'm going to talk about one combo in 1v1 where you can use this, or if you're safe around nobody's attacking you, this is literally just a 20% attack speed buff for the first hit. Don't do anything else. Then we have a Scornful Slash. It's a range float. I don't use it very much, but if you wanna feel like you're a hero, you can use that. Be mindful, it's unprotected as well. Now Cleansing Flame, this is the main super armor skill with low cooldown. It's only 6 seconds cooldown. It gives you now only 9% accuracy, but it's really good. You should cycle that on cooldown in a fight as much as possible, because everything else is longer cooldown. Going then to the Searing Fang. This is the biggest damage skill that we have. It also has a bounce CC, is the combo skill, and is the probably like literally the best damage skill that we have. Not only for the combo, but in big fight. If you use the E buff, you're protected for the first 10 seconds with super armor, so you should use that. Now, it also has a float, it's called suppress. The only problem is you cannot cancel out of it, and I found out if you E-buff and go into the people with Searing Fang and then use the flow, many times you get slowed too much, you cannot disengage at all. So what I suggest, now we can use Gut Incinerator very fast after. Do the Searing Fang and then always do Gut Incinerator, because you can fly out insta-cast into Nemesis, which is our iframe flying. You shouldn't use that skill as an engage. Never use this skill as an engage. Always use it as disengage, because this class doesn't have a way to safely run out. Many times when our group fight, you know, it's sad, we have to kite out. The only way I can run out is like this, safely. If nobody's hitting me, I can do Juggernaut. But otherwise, I'm really stuck, and many times I've been stuck sitting in the block because I don't have my Nemesis on. That's also another reason why you shouldn't stay really in the front that much. Okay, that was the ult, never mind. Because it doesn't really fly that much. Now, going on to the Guard Incinerator is one of the grinding abilities and one of the best AoEs that we have. It's 360. You can use it from hotbar as well, from Pre-Awakening. Really nice super armor. Then Dragon's Mouth. This is our big range, big damage. Charge up for max points for max damage. Be mindful about the flow. It's kinda slow, but it is a super armor. Though if you don't want to use it, you can instead go into something else, and it's much quicker, like a Cleansing Flame, or even Gut Incinerator. Up to you. Going over the rest of the skills, we have of course the Awakened Juggernaut, and we have a Fireborn. Now, the reason I have locked Fireborn, because if you press Q after Gut Incinerator, it does Fireborn. But what I want to do, I want to go into Q block. So I have it on hotbar. You can use it from Pre-Awakening as a quick cast. You can also cancel it with your iframe dash. That's the best way to buff yourself up. Also to pull mobs in PvE. So you should cycle that as well for the 20 AP buff. Now, going over the Frigid Wind. So Frigid Wind is a super armor while you slide. On the attack, it's completely unprotected, and then you go into like a teleportation state. During the time you teleport, you are in an iframe, but when you're appearing around the target, for a split second you are unprotected as well. So if you're doing that on like a Shy or some other person, maybe like a Tamer that have many hits very fast, you would get CC'd in the iframe. The best thing about this skill, and why people use it a lot, is that at the end there is like a 2-3 seconds lingering iframe. And it's also very useful in a combo. Okay, now that I've been over all the skills necessarily, I'm going to talk about the buffs that you can do. So the safe way to get yourself attack speed buff is to do Fierce Disdain. Unprotected way is do SLB in Awakening. To get your accuracy buff, you do Cleansing Flame for 9%. That's the safe way. The least safe way is to do forward encounter, which is still a front guard, but you have to jump before you use it. Accuracy buff, you can use Avalanche in Pre-Awakening with the front guard charge. But the best way to get 20 AP buff is to do Fireborn and cancel it with iframe dash. Anything else? Oh yes. Base skill in Pre-Awakening, the Claw Reveal, 5% crit damage. And forward Q or back Q, Black Blood Descent, 15 DP, 10% attack speed, 10% movement speed, sorry. You get also 10% movement speed if you do Juggernaut. Can I have some add-ons here? No, never mind. I'm going to have add-ons in the description of the video later, don't worry. Basically what I use mainly, the best skills is HP... There's a HP recovery on Dragon Ball? Oh, never mind, I have to set it up. Yeah, it's going to be in the description. Now I'm going to quickly talk about the PvE combo, how you kill most mobs. You use Fireborn to group the mobs because it has big range to pull them. And then the PvE combo that you use most of the time. If you're waiting for the mobs, yeah, you can use Dragon Ball. But the rest of the combo is Cleansing Flame into... you can either use SLMB before or after Cleansing Flame, doesn't matter, or even after God Incinerator, but definitely use SLMB for attack speed buff before the Searing Fang. So my combo will be something like Cleansing Flame, SLMB, Fireborn, God Incinerator, Searing Fang, and Flow Suppress, and then repeat that. You can pretty much repeat everything on cooldown, as you can see. Okay. Now I'm going to go over one of the combo that I use if I CC people in a 1v1 probably. Most of the time, if you fight people, you'd probably just kill them with your protected skills with damage, but if you're fighting like a grab class or something that's really tanky, you have to grab them. And after grab, I like to use Cleansing Flame, and then I look on my hot buff bar, and if I'm not slowed down, I use SLMB to get another attack speed. If you are slowed down and you do that, you won't be too fast to do the Searing Fang after, and they would get up and get away. So the combo is Cleansing Flames, SLMB for the attack speed buff, Searing Fang, and then depending on the situation, if you know you're going to kill them, you would use God Incinerator with Shift Q, or you disengage with Frigid Wind. So it's calculated, I tested it, that if you use the Frigid Wind RMB into the iframe, at the time they are getting off the ground, if you have not killed them, you are in the lingering iframe, and then you can use Inferno Nemesis to safely fly out. I'm going to show you the safe combo right now. Grab, Cleansing Flame, SLMB, Searing Fang, Frigid Wind into lingering iframe, and then you can fly out. At the end it's complete iframe and you're pretty safe to try again. Now if you think you can kill them, you just go for God Incinerator. The reason I don't like using suppress at all is because it's overall probably less damage. Well, maybe not. It's more damage compared to 1. But this is 14 hits 900 and this is 1000 hits 800. Even though it's reducer, we don't really know. This skill is slower and I don't find it doing that much damage. The good thing is you can safely fly out of a God Incinerator. If you're using suppress, you're literally stuck and you cannot really do anything. So if you wanna disengage after that, you can instacast Infernal Nemesis from God Incinerator. And there we go. I think that's pretty much everything that you need to know to play Guardian. If you're in a group fight, you should spam your long range skills, slow people down. This class is very much not a class that can fight 5-10 people at once, or maybe like 2, even 2-3. This is not a Sork or something like that. This class gains more power as its team gets stronger. So you should stay in the middle of fights, maybe not that much in the front. You should have always people around you supporting you and you're supporting them. Since in a group fight you're not CCing any people, you're not doing any CC skills. The only CC skill you could technically use is Avalanche, though it's unprotected. Maybe you can use it with the 10 seconds super armor buff. So yeah, please, if you're playing Guardian, don't fly out and try to do this. You'd most likely die, and if you would survive, you would have no way to disengage and you would die. Stay in the middle, cycle your skills, and if you're getting pressured, just fly out. Oh, that was a mistake. You don't use that. Recover or stay in the block. Okay, that was about it. Thank you for watching and peace out.